Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. This is Alaka here for EPCreativeMedia, and I am here to give you a bit of a tutorial on how to make your own custom content recolors, especially like me if you don't know how to use Blender to create your own meshes. And so I use Scenes for Studio, and I also use Photoshop in order to get what it is that I need to create. This just adds more variety to my gameplay and just gives me more options and just more flexibility, I think. If you don't know where Scenes for Studio is, you can actually Google it and you'll be able to actually find it. That's the simplest way I can be able to say. Basically, once you've got Scenes for Studio open, make sure, if it's your first time, make sure that your creator name is actually visible. That way it can easily track down everything that you have been creating under your creator name. And in this case, I'm going to be creating an object. As you see, I've clicked on object. Object is things like furnishings and things like that, whereas cast is to do with clothing, etc. And so this time I'm going to be recoloring the Murphy bed from Tiny Living. And yeah, basically because it's the newest pack and I have looked at the variety of options that have been available under Tiny Living and or the Murphy bed option, should I say, and I just felt like I wanted more options. And so what happens is when you click on the object, it automatically makes you save it as a package file. So you need to find the designated folder that you're going to be saving all your items in, and then save it under the name of your choosing. And once it's open, I tend to go through the whole thing. I browse through the whole thing to try and check to see what type of the color options that are available, and to see how or what exactly I'm going to be editing. And then using the texture, in this case, as you can see, there's two texture options, which is basically the bedding as well as the furniture itself, like in terms of the frame. And that normally gives me an idea of what it is that I'm going to be editing or changing or amending, whatever, you know. And so with that, you have to actually export each of them individually. And in this case, basically, it allows me to see exactly what item is on which part, what it looks like in terms of the full picture, as opposed to the actual mesh that I will be basically recoloring on top of, because obviously when you export it, it doesn't look like the actual image, the final image itself. And so you export the image, again you have to save it under the name of your choosing, you know, that you'll be able to save it under. And then when that happens, basically the folder normally automatically opens. In my computer it does that anyways, and I save it accordingly. So in this case, I have saved both the frame and the bedding, and then I'm going to be opening them in Photoshop, both of them individually. After I open both of them, and the reason why I'm actually opening both of them individually in Photoshop is because I don't want to have to go back and forth, having to basically re-add them, you know, finish one and then have to add the other one after the fact. I don't want to have to do that. And then after that, this is where I start to look at what artwork that I want to add, what designs, etc. I tend to go on the internet and look for different patterns, etc. But because I've got loads already right now on my computer, I'm choosing from the Afro textures that I have to see what I can be able to work with. And as you can see right now, I'm narrating over this, so I'm trying to catch up with myself because I decided to fast forward everything because the whole video was like 2 hours long and I'm trying to make it as short as possible. So in Photoshop, I tend to use things like the selection tool to kind of take out sections of my of the base image, so that I can be able to separate them and be able to basically divide in accordance to what I want to change, color wise, pattern wise, etc. In this case, I have divided where the pillows are, I have where the duvet cover is, where is it the bed lining? Is it called the bed lining? I'm not sure. I separated those. That way I was able to kind of create different color textures for each one of them, as you can see right now. And then when I save it, I have to save it obviously as a similar name, but I basically tend to, in this case I've added A so that they can kind of follow each other and I know exactly what I'm working with. And right now I am actually editing the picture frame. If you remember with the Murphy bed, when the bed is open, the picture is different. When the Murphy bed is closed, the picture is different, and I wanted to add my own, and I basically used screenshots actually from my own gameplay that I have. I thought I would add that and see how that works out. And in this case I wanted to change the picture frame to black, and so again, using the selection tool and a lot of zooming in and out, I was able to select it out, and basically using Control C or Command C if you use a Mac, and whilst, as you can see, there's a lot of finalizing that you have to do, and basically once I finished with that, I was able to change the color, because I remember I wanted to change this to black. I didn't want to use the brown frame. For some reason, I'm not a really big fan of brown frames. I'd rather my frames were either white or black, and in this case I changed it to black. Same goes with the actual sofa itself, which also acts as the headboard for the bed. As you know, if you look at it properly, it's supposed to be kind of like leatherish, I think, if I recall. And so I decided to basically go and use one of the textures that I've used before, which is a leather texture, and then I added it to my image here. As you can see now, you can see it's proper leather, and then using basically the overlay option. In this case I think I chose soft light. Overlay tends to work really well when you're doing recolors and you're trying to maintain certain textures, or soft light. Those two are the main ones that I use the most. In this case I used soft light, and then I was able to change that into black as well. I kind of repeated the same thing with all the other little elements that have got different colors, such as the little knickknacks that kind of hang at the top or go under the bed once the Murphy bed is open. And in this case I just basically, using the hue and saturation, which is the one that I use the most, I'm able to change colors up quite a lot. And in this case I did something which the result was not quite what I wanted. However, it just gives you an idea of the type of things that you can be able to add, even as you are creating a recolor. You know, it might not be something that you're creating from scratch, it's just a recolor, but still it gives you an idea of what you can be able to achieve basically with your own with your own recolors. It looks cute now, but I'm not sure if I was too happy about how it comes out, and this is where trial and error kind of comes into play, I suppose. I'm laughing because honestly it was kind of, I don't know, a little bit to the scary side. As you can see here, this is still in Sims 4 Studio, me looking at it in Sims 4 Studio, which it still kind of sort of looks cute, but I'm not sure about how it looked in game. But this does give you an idea of what it would look like after you've done the recolor. And bear in mind, this is after I've done the recolor of the frame as well as the recolor of the bedding. Now in this case I went ahead and recolored a whole bunch of other, added a whole bunch of other colors. And what I would like to now explain whilst this is happening is that when you do export, you have to go to File, Export, Online and Web, and you always have to make sure you export it as a PNG file. And PNG, it has to be a PNG -24. That way it's maximum PNG and you don't get any kind of like feathering around the edges of anything that's supposed to be transparent basically. And this is basically what I'm doing. I'm exporting different colors, I'm recoloring them so that I can just create more variety. Now this is not exactly what I wanted to exactly keep. It was just me doing it for the sake of the tutorial. Normally I spend slightly more time selecting the color choices to see what matches with what, so it is a bit of a process. It does require someone to have a bit of patience to be able to do this, especially if you want something that will actually look really good in game. And so this version was actually a bit of a rushed version. where I was basically just going through the entire color spectrum and trying to get as many as I possibly could. I think I got approximately about 9 or 10, both for the bedding and both for the frame itself. And basically this was all again for the purposes of the tutorial, to try and show how much variety you can be able to obtain. And in this kind of situation, you do have the option of exporting each and every one of the color options that comes with the game, which you can see, I think it's got about 14, is it 12? 12, it's got 12 options, as you can see right now. It's got 12 options, and with each option, if you notice, the pictures are actually different. The pictures and the picture frames are actually different. And so if you are looking to have a completely and utterly different picture for each and every color frame and bed frame, etc., this you would have to go through the process of exporting each and every one of them individually. And then if you've got a bunch of pictures that you like on your computer, you can use those, or you can go on the internet and utilize the various pictures that you like and add them into each frame and export them accordingly, and then import them into the game, obviously into Sims 4 Studio, in accordance to how you want. Now in my case, I used hue and saturation, and I basically ended up creating a folder of all the items, put them in one folder, duplicated the folder, and then the duplicated folder I actually turned it into a smart object. And turning it into a smart object basically enabled me to recolor everything as a whole, and that's how I was able to achieve the various colors for the frames without having to change each and every one of them individually. Again, I did that to save time, but when I do get around to doing this properly, it is likely that I'm probably going to spend hours upon hours upon hours doing everything individually, because I would like it to have more precision. And I repeat, this is because of the for the purpose of the tutorial. And once you have finished adding all the color elements into all the different ones, importing them back into Sims 4 Studio, make sure that you tag them accordingly in terms of the color options. In the catalog section, you can change the title so that it's easy for you to find it within build by mode. I even changed the bio, and you have to you only need to change the bio once, and then it will change along the spectrum. And basically you only need to change that once, and then afterwards though you do individually have to change the colors. You do have to change the colors for each and every one of them individually, as well as the swatches, what shows up on the swatches, you have to change those individually. And then when you're finished with that, you just click save, and then it will save where you initially had placed it when you had first exported the package file. And so after it clicks save, it will tell you that it has saved it, and then afterwards you just need to go to the folder where you create all your custom content and then copy it into your mods folder. Myself, I have a specific folder within my mods folder which I titled, my own custom made content. That way I know that all the custom content that's in that folder is everything that I have recolored myself. That way I don't lose track of it. I can easily access it, I can easily find it, and I don't confuse it basically with all the other custom content that I've downloaded from other creators. And so once that is done, that's when you can close all Photoshop, Sims 4 Studio, any other thing that you're using, and then go ahead and open Sims 4. Now, after you open Sims 4, you have to always make sure that the mods are enabled basically. And when you go to build by mode, you just go to the bedding section, look for your custom content, or you can search for custom content, and within that basically you place the bed, as you can see right now, and just go through the swatches to see if it's worked. That's what I do. And if something hasn't worked the way I hoped it worked, just like the way those mouths look so scary, they don't look so cute anymore, I go back into Sims 4 Studio and I basically change it according to how I like. And so this is me testing it out to see how the different, I've paused the game, obviously I've gone back to build by mode to see how the bed looks when it's down. As you can see, I'm testing it out, and I think it came out alright. The original pattern actually I think came out the best, because I didn't tamper with it color wise, etc. And I think I made more effort initially anyways with that than I did all the other ones that I changed the colors. But as you can see, the color kind of changes according to how you would basically like it. And yeah, and so with that, as you can clearly see, that's literally it. If there's anything you don't like, you just basically go back to Sims 4 Studio, change what it is that you don't like, and fix it that way. Yeah, that's pretty much what I did with the blazer that you see she's wearing. This is another recolor that I made using Sims 4 Studio. There's other little bits and pieces, that the nano trash can, I managed to recolor that. And if you'd like any of that, actually the blazer is not available yet, but the nano trash can, all the options that I created are available on my website, so you can click on the link below. And I hope this tutorial was very, very helpful for you. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch. I hope you give me a thumbs up and leave a comment if there's anything that I missed out. If you've got any questions, anything that I might have missed out, please do let me know. Feel free to let me know. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Until next time, it's goodbye from me.